afternoon, learners. I'm Mr. Mulibe from HOIs, and I'm a tutor for geography from grade 10 to grade 12. So now I have news for you. Geography, we are running a special. Don't tell anyone. I'm joking. Tell everybody. We are running a special at HOIs. It's free registration. I would advise you to quickly register for term 3 and term 4. If you need or want a distinction, I would advise you to join us. Right. So today I'll be focusing on geography grade 10. Grade 10s, where are you? Yes, today I'll be doing your geography specifically for paper 2, question 2. Now let me give you an advice on how to approach paper 2, because I know question 2 is infographics and extract. Right. So you need to have your highlighter, right, or a pencil, highlighter or pencil, and obviously your pen. Right. Then you need to be able how to read. You need to have your calculator, by the way. Your calculator is important. You need your ruler, right? I'm gonna explain why you need all those resources, right? Now let's get into it, right? So as I've said, today I'll be explaining geography grade 10, paper 2, question 2 specifically, right? So let's get to slide 1. It says things we'll be focusing on today is definition, differences, factors affecting population density and population distribution. Right? Then we're focusing on type of population pyramid, what is a population pyramid, and population growth impact and strategies. Right? Now we'll also be focusing on the population movement. So we know population movement, they speak about immigration, right? Migration specifically, migration and immigration. That's what they speak about. Then kinds of migration, rural urban migration, which is the simplest and which is one of the topics I like in geography. Right? The next slide. Let's get to definitions. Right? We have a population distribution. What is population distribution? So population distribution, I summarized it in 4 words. It describes where people live. Right? I live in Bella. So population distribution, it describes Bella, right? Because in Bella, that's where people live. Right? Then population density, it's a number of people that occupy that particular area, right? It is expressed in kilometers squared, right? So this one, it's a number of people that live in that particular area, right? You need to know the difference between population distribution and population density, right? That is the difference you need to know. They're going to ask you, what is the difference between population distribution and population density, right? Remember, population distribution, it describes a place where people live, right? While population density, it is the number of people that occupy that particular area. It is expressed in kilometers. So let's talk about population density. Population density, they're gonna ask you how many people occupy maybe South Africa, for example. Now you answer. You can't just say 100,000 people or 100 million people. At the end, the unit is important. You're gonna say kilometers squared, 100 million kilometers squared. Right? That is your answer. So the unit here, kilometer squared, it is important. I'd advise you to use that unit. Right? Now let's move to the factors affecting population distribution and density. Right? Factors that are affecting population distribution and population density. Right? So I would advise you to take just 4. Right? 4 that you won't forget, because obviously they won't ask you more than 4. They're gonna ask you 4 or less. Right? So first one, we're gonna say water. Right? Water, it is a factor that affects population distribution and density. How does water affect population distribution and density? Right? So people tend to move to areas that have water source. Right? Why would people move to areas that have water source? Because water source, water is life. Right? We do many things with life. We bath with water. We drink water. The kettle needs water. Right? We need water to plant. Right? Another thing you need to focus on is soil. Right? Soil fertility. Right? So if the soil is fertile, people would move to that area. Why? Because you can build upon it. And another thing you need to know is that when you have fertile soil, you can plant there. Right? You can grow your vegetation there. Right? When I speak about vegetation, I speak about your crops. Right? Different types of crops. Right? Then you focus on history. You can just talk about history. Right? Let me say in a particular era there was a history, maybe there was a war, right? And now the war is over, and you assumingly say that there won't be war anymore. So you can turn that area into a tourist attraction, right? As a result, it brings you what? It brings you a I would say economy. It develops our economy, right? It brings income to you, right? So you want to move to that area because obviously it brings you money. Another thing you need to focus on, the last one, which is the fourth one, you need to focus on resources, right? So on resources, it's obvious, right? People would want to move to areas near mines, right? We know mines provide us with salt, they provide us with gold, silver, diamond, and platinum, right? And people would want to move to that area because those kind of minerals, they bring you income too, right? And they develop what? Our economy, right? Then we move to another slide. I hope you understood the definition, differences, and the factors that are affecting population distribution and density. Right, now let's move to the next slide. So type of population pyramid. I love this one. I love this one so much. So symmetrical and ball-shaped population pyramid. Right, how do we see a symmetrical population pyramid? This one, it looks like a triangle, or you can just say it looks like a pyramid. That's how you're gonna remember it. That's how I used to remember it. Like the symmetrical, it looked like a triangle, while the bell shaped, it looks like a bell. You know that bell they use at school when it's lunchtime or after lunch, right? That kind of a bell. But now the kind of bell they used at school is advanced, right? You can find it in the wall there and it rings. I'm speaking about the olden times, in the past. They used to play that bell that say ding 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 ding. I hope it makes sense. But anyways, let's get to uh, this type of population pyramid, right? So as you can see, the first one is symmetrical. As you know, you need to know the ages. You need to know the genders, right? When you speak about gender, you speak about male and female, right? Girl and boy. But you can't say girl and boy. You have to say male and female, right? And now let's compare these two population pyramids, right? As you can see, a symmetrical population pyramid represents a developing country, while a bell-shaped population pyramid represents a developed country, right? Why would you say a bell-shaped is more developed than a symmetrical population pyramid? That is because there are more old people and there's low death rate, right? What does that tell you? It tells you about a bell-shaped population pyramid that in that country or area, uh, the medical facilities are more advanced, right? They are more advanced. That means people would want to move to the area because their medical facilities are more advanced, and that means there are high chances of you to living until the older age, right? And another thing you need to look at is the birth rate. Their birth rate is low, right? Telling you that it is controlled. The birth rate is controlled, right? You can assumingly say the each couple will have two or less kids, right? So the birth rate is controlled. But when you move to a symmetrical population pyramid, you can see that birth rate is high. The birth rate is very high, right? You can see that the country is still developing. Each and everything is not controlled, right? So I'm gonna move to the next slide. I hope you understood the difference between symmetrical and bell-shaped population pyramid, right? Now let's focus on population pyramid. What is population pyramid? So population pyramid is a pyramid that shows the distribution of population according to age and gender. You can't forget this definition. It is important because that is the first question they're gonna ask you if the population pyramid question appears there. Right? That is the first question they're gonna ask you. Right? If it's not this one, then they're gonna ask you what is the difference between symmetrical and bell-shaped population pyramid. That is what they're gonna ask you. Right? So as you can see, we have age, male and female here. You need to be able to summarize this pyramid. As you can see here, I want us to focus on these bottom numbers, right? So it is a percentage of population, right? It is a percentage. It is a percent, right? When they ask you what is the percentage of male at the age between 45 and 49, you can't just say 2. Right, the unit is important. As I previously mentioned on the population density, you need to the unit is important, guys. It is very important. If you say 2, it is correct, but now you forgot the unit, right? A percentage is a unit, so you need to involve that percentage, right? So I hope you understand everything that speaks about population pyramid. Things you need to know about the population pyramid is that you need to be able to differentiate and in numbers, to compare numbers specifically, which gender lives more, which gender lives less, right? You need to be able to identify which country has a which country uh, has developed and less developed. You need to know the difference in types of population pyramid. As I've explained, it's symmetrical population pyramid and a bell-shaped population pyramid. Right now, we move to the next slide, which is the seventh slide. Now, let's talk about population growth. What are impacts? What results in overpopulation? Not enough food. When you don't have enough food in a country, people would move to certain areas, and they will be overcrowding. Now there's not enough food. There's no enough space to occupy. Now that's why you find people sometimes living in the streets. Right? There's not enough space. Right? More facility, strength concerned. Right? So specifically, this one speaks about the medical facilities. So if the place is overpopulated, right, that means that place will have constraint, specifically regarding economically, rather, yeah, economically we have constraint, right? The medical facilities won't afford to provide more medic, right? And we need to hire doctors, and doctors are expensive, right? Now, strategies. How do we manage these impacts? Right? Education. We need to educate and inform people on benefits of small family. Right? So specifically, this one speaks about the control of birth. Right? Each and every couple has to have two or less kids. Right? Then another thing is result in improved standard of living. Right? Provide job opportunities so that there is enough food. Right? And so that people can afford the space of living. Right? Another thing, you need to think out of box. You can teach young children about prevention, right? Because obviously you can't stop them from doing things. I'm just gonna say things, but you need to do that. Teach the young learners or young women about prevention, so that it doesn't result in uh, mistakenly pregnancy. Right? Then another thing you need to do, I'd say, often forced to marry and denied rights. So another thing we need to focus on is, I'd say, I wouldn't say you must promote xenophobia, right? But I would say people who don't have legal documents to be in the country, they need to leave, right? They need to leave, right? So we speak about geography here, right? People, I'm not saying we should promote xenophobia, because some people treat xenophobia as a I'd say bad thing, right? Because we end up being in a war, right? You fighting now, and they are swearing people. So, anyways, we're not there. Let's talk about geography. People who don't have legal documentation, they must leave the country, and that is what is currently happening in South Africa. I hope you are watching this news, right? But we're not there. We're gonna move. And by the way, you only need to know four strategies. They are not gonna ask you more than four strategies, right? So the eighth slide says speak about overpopulation. What is overpopulation? So overpopulation occurs when a population is so dense that it results in overcrowding, the depletion of resources, and declaration of environment. So this one, you can't complicate things. You can just say overpopulation. That's when there's overcrowding in the country. That's all you can just say, because why would you complicate things and lose marks, right? Yeah, that's what you need to know. Then we have what are causes and resulting of overpopulation. So factors causing population explosion. So population explosion, they basically mean overpopulation. Do not be discouraged about the word explosion. And now you asking yourself, what is explosion? What is explosion? Right. So major improvements in technology and food production. The death rate is low in other countries. So let's talk about this one. I've previously spoken about this one. If the country is more advanced, there is more technology, there is more food production, and the death rate is low, right? So you'd want to move to that country. Let's be honest, you'd want to move to that country, because now we all want to live, for so long, for a long time, right? And we don't want to die by hunger. So we want to move to areas where there are opportunities, right? The place that will provide us with opportunities, job opportunities, living opportunities, and with better medic, right? Now, what will happen to these areas when they are overpopulated, right? Let's discuss them. So there will be not enough food and space for number of people because population double could double by age, by large rather, or rather by size. That's that one, right? So as I've discussed, the factors causing population explosion and the factors uh, that result in population explosion. Now let's move to the ninth slide here. Okay, right. So let's talk about population movement. Now this is my favorite. Population movement is easy. You don't have to complicate things. I've already summarized things for you. So we have different kinds of population movement. We have forced and voluntary migration. So forced migration, you need to know that you didn't have a choice, right? You had to. You didn't have a choice. Then voluntary migration, that's when you had a choice. So in simple terms, that's how we're gonna separate. You need to know the difference between forced and voluntary migration, right? So forced migration it is caused by wars and conflict, bad treatment or race religious. So this one is basically yeah, is a bad treatment, race religious and political belief, and unsafe condition, natural disasters, shortage of food. Now, voluntary migration is better employment opportunities to be friends or families who have already moved, better climate, better social facilities, and better education. Right now, the last slide. So, rural urban migration, push factors and pull factors. What is rural urban migration? So rural urban migration is a movement of people from rural areas to urban areas, right? So we have push factors and pull factors. So what are push factors? So push factors are mechanization, right? So push factors are mechanization. I would say things that forces people to move to that particular area to another area. So specifically moving from rural area to urban area. Things that force people to move from rural area to urban area. While pull factors are what? Are things that attract people. So pull factors are like a magnet. They attract people to come to that area. So now what are factors that result in push factors? The mechanization, low salaries, drought, crime, unemployment. Right? Another thing that what are pull factors? What are things that attract people? Better job opportunities, salaries, education, medical facilities, bright lights. Right now, what will happen if people move from rural areas? What will happen to rural areas and the environment and everything? So there will be empty houses, farmhouses, right? There will be a high crime rate. There will be unemployment. There will be few new investments. So the investment will move to urban areas and the shops will close because what is the point of opening a shop where there will be no customers, right? And there will be waste of money if you restock, right? Then empty schools, right? Meaning people will lose their jobs, teachers will lose their jobs because now learners have moved to urban areas, causing what? Causing overpopulation in the urban areas. Now we have impact in the urban areas. What happens when more people will keep moving on to the urban areas? There will be high crime rate. There will be house shadowing, meaning the house they will be overpopulated. Now they will be overcrowding the cities. There will be more pollution, of course. There will be more pollution. People have different kinds of business idea. Some of us buy meat there. Some of us in the factories are doing chemical stuff. Right? Then there will be more traffic congestion. Then there will be a competition for unemployment. Now, what are strategies to minimize this rural urban migration? Now, you need to advertise town, right? Try to move people back to rural areas. Try to develop rural areas so that is equally developed between rural areas and urban areas, right? Then tourism, and then restore buildings, rural schools, right? So there'll be if we restore buildings and rural schools, there'll be job opportunities for other people. So that's all, learners. Thank you for your time, and I'm hoping to see you at HOIs because we need you, you need us, right? So I'm hoping to see you and thank you for your time. See you again next time. I'm out.